All right, guys, it is Rick Ginn, and today is all about wholesaling. And actually, my favorite part of the topic is to teach you how to do wholesaling without spending a ton of your own money. And honestly, I'm an expert at it. You might say I am a master at it because I spent my first really 2.5 years doing that. So let me jump on here. I'm going to put a link up there. You guys know how this link works. If you want to do a one-on-one mastermind, I put the link at the top of the screen. It's first come, first serve. If you don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. I've been wholesaling for 21 years now. And honestly, I still love it just like the day I started it. I remember how exciting it was. And my whole goal and purpose of connecting with you guys. And by the way, I appreciate you being on my channel here. On the Rick Ginn YouTube channel. And this is a channel if you want to connect with me a little bit more one-on-one. I don't have my son on here. I love being on with him, but sometimes you guys got to get to know the dad and learn all about wholesaling. So I teach wholesaling just the way I taught it to him. And I make it simple, practical, but you've got to take the action to do it. So this live stream works in two ways. You have a comment section. I call it a Q&A section. If you have a question, just ask it. The reason I do these streams on Monday nights so I can connect with more of you. It's really hard on the Thursday afternoon ones I do on the Flip with Rick. By the way, it's a great channel. I collab with my son on there on our actual wholesaling business, and we help you guys out and teach every topic known to mankind on wholesaling on there. And guys, keep in mind, everything we do is free. Meaning everything we teach you at freewholesaling.com, we just give you everything. Why not? Because the reality is most people won't take us up on it. Everybody wants to talk about it. But if you're one of those special people that really want to make a change in your life and you found wholesaling, maybe you found me on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is, I don't care how you found us. If you're here, if you have an interest, sit back for the next hour and a half. If you like what I say, I'm going to show you how you can take this further, and I'm not asking for any money from you, and I won't ask for any money on this video. And I am going to put a link up right for you. Let's see here. Where's my link? I'm looking for the bigger one. Let me put up here. Me and my son have created a course. It's called freewholesaling.com. Real simple, right? Just go there. I'm telling you, there's no strings attached. It's insane. My philosophy, and so is Zach's, is we're just going to give you everything we have. That way you can build up trust with us. And why do we do this? Number one, we do a ton of deals with you guys. We're doing deals all over the country, which has always been my dream. And thank you guys for letting that come true. And really, number two is I'm going to create the legacy. I'm going to teach more people wholesaling than any other guru, coach, or any person ever in this business. And it's really cool. We have hundreds of thousands of members in all the platforms we do. And we have over 100,000 active students on freewholesaling.com. Here's the catch to freewholesaling.com. You actually have to do the work, and you have to show up every day, and you have to bring your best attitude. And if you can't bring that, there's no teacher or guru in the world that can teach you wholesaling, because that's what's required to be successful in it. So do me a favor, use the comment section. You can ask your questions there. I put a link on the top under Rick Ginn, so you know it's secure. And if you want to do a one-on-one mastermind, just click on there. You can hop on there. And as soon as I'm done with my teaching section, which is going to be a phenomenal one today, I'm teaching how to get started in wholesaling with $15, because why not? And no, it's not 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks. I'm going to show you how I did it, because my first really year of this business, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together to do this. I know this plan intimately. And what's going to shock you today is a lot of the stuff I'm going to teach you today is the same stuff I was doing 21 years ago, just to kind of show you how history kind of rhymes. Listen, wholesaling is really not complicated. You just talk to as many people as you humanly possibly can, and you connect with them, and you help people out and put win-win deals together. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to show you how to get it done, your first wholesaling deal, in under 15 bucks. And every strategy I'm going to show you on this video today, I have personally done. And by the way, I've done a deal like this probably a dozen times for the last 21 years. Every strategy I'm going to show you. Yes, I do a lot of direct mail. Yes, we do a lot of cold calling. Yes, I do a lot of SMS, but I'm here to tell you, if you are completely broken, you have no money, if you have the right attitude, if you take the right action, you really pour your heart in, you don't dip your toes in wholesaling, you actually do wholesaling, you have a great shot at succeeding. But this business is not for the faint of heart. If you want the glory of the freedom and the money with wholesaling and you don't want to do any of the work, this is not one of these government programs where it's actually going to work. I'm telling you, you actually have to put in the work. So freewholesaling.com, I got that on the bottom. If you've never done wholesaling or you just want to get started, or maybe you've taken somebody else's course and it didn't guide you in the direction, that's okay. I've done that before. Go on the free wholesaling. We walk through the mechanics and it's head to toe. It's the deepest wholesaling course on the internet, really in the world for wholesaling, although it's specifically to the United States for full disclosure. That's what you want. And guys, listen, if you enjoyed today's content, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button. I like likes. It's a little bit vain, but it tells me if I'm giving you relative information that actually helps you out. And please make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because if you're subscribed to this channel, I give you a lot of bonuses. I put videos on here I don't put on any other social media platform, because I believe YouTube's the one I can go the deepest with you. TikTok, all that other stuff brings you in, but the reality is the bulk of the information is going to come through YouTube and freewholesaling.com. That's just the truth, because the people that actually take the steps to get their first deal, and not only do that, go on to make their first 100K, they all spend a lot of time on YouTube and freewholesaling.com. So if you understand those two principles, you can move forward. So make sure you're subscribed to this. And also, guys, I'm on the Flip with Rick channel. I'm actually going to be, I spend a few days there a week. I'm actually probably going to pop in there tomorrow around 1 p.m. if you're around, but check it out. So we are talking about how to get wholesaling started with 15 bucks. And since I told you we're going to go old school, I'm going to use the old school whiteboard. So this is how I used to teach, or whenever I had to teach an employee. And honestly, I spent a lot of time with Zach on this. Why? Because it's very visual. You can see me writing it out, and we have these beautiful pieces of technology. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of the old school tricks really work the best, and especially in today's type of market. So if you guys are ready, as I said, if you have questions, I'm going to follow the questions. I might not answer it right away, but as I finish up the lesson, and then my goal is to try to talk to as many people as I can today. So if you got a chance, make sure you connect. I put the link for the StreamYard for the one-on-one. I made it super simple. You just go to the top of the comments under Rick Ginn, and it is the first comment on there if you want to join that link. No, you don't have to show your face. I don't care. I love to see smiling faces. And honestly, I'm only here to help you. If you truly want help and you want advice to solve a problem or solution, if you come on here and complain, there's nothing I can do for you. I'll listen to it, but I'm not going to respond to it, because I do not solve complaints. I'm not a complaint department. 9 times out of 10, you got to look within yourself and be accountable to yourself. So I'm going to position myself kind of oddly here and figure out how I can write at this and still like show you guys the board with everything. So we got to walk through some basics and set up some fundamentals so you guys understand here. So this microphone gets in the way, but I will move it accordingly. So I got nice long arms, so I'll reach up. So what I want you to understand is you have to understand the playbook. So if 80% of wholesale deals they come from basically 3 different types of sources. You ready? Number 1, cold calling. Number 2 is going to be SMS texting. And the other one is just going to be driving for dollars. And that's just an acronym, driving for dollars. So you've got to understand this part first. And this is what we call our marketing mediums for wholesaling. Guys, way too many coaches in this business complicate the heck out of this, and you have to simplify it to really understand it. Because if you don't understand the basics, like blocking and tackling in football, or passing and shooting in basketball or soccer, you cannot achieve the objective, which is to close deals and repeat as often as needed. So I'm going to start out with these, and there's a reason I'm doing it. Now, I'm going to add one more element. So this is what we call our median. This is how you deliver your marketing message. Now, this isn't the only way, so we're going to expand on this. The next one is going to be your lists. Hopefully you guys can see this. The microwave won't get in the way. And then basically this section will comprise your list. Now, 90% of all deals come through these lists. Meaning if I use one of these three plus these lists, you have a 90% probability of getting a great wholesaling deal. Guess what? When you go outside of these parameters, your numbers actually drop down. And I'm going to show you why. And trust me, I'm concentrating on $15 today because, dude, I have been there. And I've done this with actually $0, but there's always some little cost. So I wanted to be transparent with the $15 so you get it. So the list, in my opinion, everything derives from your government lists. I love these lists. They are great. Then you also have what we call your earn lists. I'm going to expand on these. And then we're going to have what we call our paid lists. Hopefully all can see that. It's not writing backwards. So government list is going to be from your courthouse at your county level. Guys, it's free. You're gonna have to expend some energy and build some relationships. I wish I could have AI write every email, and they can write every email and request, but you still got to usually deal with a human because when you're belly to belly, you meet somebody in person, it's much easier to get your point across. The next one are going to be your earn list. And these are the lists that you can't buy, but you have to earn them. And what you got to understand about earning it is you got to earn it. You should actually get a t-shirt for every time you get these lists. And these are going to be your code violations. That's an earned list. Your fire damage. Sorry about my handwriting, guys. This is old school, the whiteboard. You got to appreciate this. You're also going to have your water shutoffs. And then I put probates under this one because they're a little bit of challenge. So if you know these are your earned lists, why do I call them earned list? Because you are going to have to earn them. It would be easier if you actually could pay for them, but you can't because they're usually owned by some sort of city or county, some sort of government type of list. And then this one you're going to get from your utilities department. I'm glad I got long arms. Probates from the probate courts. And you're going to have to work on those because even though they don't cost anything, they're going to cost you time, and you're going to have to ask high quality questions to actually get what you want. Fire damage from the fire department, and code violations you're going to get from the city or the county. Now, guys, listen, to get these lists, when I say earn list, you're going to have to earn it. If you walk in there and go, I just need, I need all the probates for the last month or two. Can you just give them to me? You're not getting them. That's why I call them an earned list. You're actually going to have to go over to freewholesaling.com and you're going to have to learn how to ask for these lists, and you are going to have to use your brain. And guess what? You are going to get rejected on the first try. I almost guarantee you. And what we do over at freewholesaling.com, we teach you that to overcome resistance, you have to beat it with persistence. And persistence isn't beating people up and being nasty to them. It's the actual complete opposite. That's great. I know you can't release that information, but if I request this information and I want to know more about my county as a taxpayer, how can I get that information? Or do you have somebody here that can help us get that together? So you try to work with them as a team. In person works phenomenally. Email is 50-50 at best. Now, I'm sorry. Phone is 50-50 at best. And email, you're almost guaranteed to be turned down. But you can at least find the departments to get to the right people. My two favorite are by far government lists and earned lists. Number one, they're both free. So I've already taken the money equation out of there. Yes. We're going to count for $3 to $5 to put in your car to go get these lists for gas. I don't even know if that even covers it anymore. Then you have your paid list. I'm not even talking about your paid list today. But I love your paid list because you can get 10,000 leads in a month for under $100. You can't beat it if you want to figure out how to go over to freewholesaling.com. But we're talking about a $15 budget today, guys. So here's what you have to do. You have to attack like crazy on these government lists and these earned lists. Okay, great, Rick. I have the list. I don't have any money. What do I do? I can't afford skip tracing. Skip tracing is when you go look up the owner's phone number and then you call them to see if they have interest in selling your house. Well, if skip tracing costs you 15 cents a piece, do the math, it adds up. So the best way, we're on a budget here. Your skip tracing is going to be truepeoplesearch.com. Why? Because it's free. But it's not perfect and it's going to cost you some time. But hey, Rick, I don't have any money. That's fine. You're going to either give money or you're going to give hustle. Both is perfect in wholesaling, but the reality is I worked off of a hustle muscle my first 2 years. So this is where you're going to do your skip tracing so you have to do the money. So now you got to have a choice here. What does driving for dollars really cost you? I'm going to give you $10 on that in gas, and I'm being generous. Find your target area and just drive around and find ugly houses. Guys, do you want me to give you a $3,000 course on that? You don't need it. You just got to get in your car and take a yellow pad. Take a yellow pad just like this. This is old school, baby. I should put this sucker right up there. This is what I did for the first 2 years. And you know what? I'm still guilty of driving around and do that. Now, there's plenty of tools at freewholesaling.com if you want to automate it, dmzack.com, stuff like that. But we're talking about under $15. So I'm not going to break the rules today. But guys, if you don't have money, you should even be more motivated, in my opinion. You got to get your rent paid. You got to take your girl out to dinner. You got to get gas in your car. You're going to have to do stuff to get it done. Nobody's coming to save you in wholesaling. Honestly, if every guru started out with a course like this one I'm teaching right now, most people would quit. Or most people would ask for a refund. They go, oh my God, I got to work my butt off. I'm just going to sit here and tell you the truth. That's what needs to be done. Now, you go to True People Search, you go over to cold calling, and yeah, it's going to be painful to dial 1-1 on your phone, but until you get a deal, that's what you might have to do. To get a multi-dollar, it's going to cost you $100 a month. The driving for dollar is my absolute favorite because you skip the entire giant list. So if you have 100 or 200 people on a yellow pad, however you collect it, dmzack.com, I don't care. And then you use True People Search and you research them. I got to go through 10,000 people to find those 100 in there. You are straight lining the process. This is the fastest way to get a deal, hands down. And if you want to go over to, you can use PropStream, some of the paid services. And that's a paid service. And I'm not really talking about today. You can do virtual driving for dollars, but I'm not here to talk about that today. Driving for dollars by hand down is the best high quality list you can get. But it's really hard to sell that in a course. Although I know there's people out there that have a course on it, but getting that driving for dollars list, doing True People Search and cold calling is absolutely amazing. The problem with texting, it's going to cost you money. You have to use a service for it. I know what you're thinking. Well, I can do some SMS one-on-ones. Honestly, it's not really even scalable. Yeah, if you have a driving for dollar, you can do that. But I love the driving for dollars. But my favorite way is to get these government lists, these earned lists, just cold call them and grab the list by driving for dollars. And I don't care how many it takes to get you. Code violations, fire damage, water shutoff, probates, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures. All these lists are free to you, but you got to go out and earn them and you got to go out and get them. Now, that's the easy stuff, right? That's kind of the, let's dig in deeper. Let's find out more ways within $15 we can easily get this done. I think we overlook a lot of this stuff, guys, but JVs. Well, why the heck would I want to split my profit? Well, the reality is when I first started in wholesaling, I was really good at finding motivated sellers and I poured all my resources into it. and I sucked at getting cash buyers. So I found another partner that was really good with the cash buyers. And then I found the motivated sellers. And I put a deal together. And my average deal on that was 10 to 15K. Now, it wasn't always like that. Some I made 2 or 3 grand. But I was so concentrated on this, and I figured if I could master this skill first, I could easily do that. And I was correct. But I stayed over here a lot longer because to me, this was a higher in value skill. And then I got a little bit greedy as a wholesaler. And instead of doing 50-50 splits, I would do 70-30, 80-20. Why? Because I was, in my opinion, doing the hardest part of the work. And I could find wholesalers with cash buyers list because most of them they would do that because it was kind of the lazy part of doing it. And I got really good. I eventually opened up my own dispositions. Don't worry. It took me 2 years, but a lot of wholesalers made a lot of money off me when I first got started, and I'm fine with it. Why? Because I accelerated my skills on working with people. And these are the skills I share with you today because I know how to talk to people. I know how to connect with them. I know how to have a conversation. And that's the most important part of wholesaling. It's not a sales job. It is not like cutthroat business. It's aggressive, don't get me wrong. But you, at the end of the day, you have to connect with as many people as you possibly can and help them out. So you can do JVs. You don't have to do them forever. I do JVs with all you guys, and I still do 50-50 splits, and I love doing it. You can go over to sellmypaper.com. I'll show you exactly how to do it. My other favorite way are digital bandit signs. I'm going to go a little bit quicker here because I'm going to get to talking to you guys. And what do I mean by that? It just means you're going to target Facebook. You're going to go organically in the groups that you already participate. So if you're a dog lover and you talk about dog treats or dog training and you've been active in the group for years, this is what I'm talking about. It aligns with your core philosophy with what you do and you enjoy it. And you're basically just going to drop an organic post in there saying, by the way, all you dog lovers, I buy houses for cash. I help a lot of people out. If you're ever in the event, need a help with a house or a dog, let me know. And here's the best part is you can have AI write the ad copy for you because you guys aren't experts at writing ad copy. I used to have to pay thousands of dollars for this stuff. It's all free and it aligns with today's. It just aligns with what we're doing. It's free, guys. This AI is probably one of the most amazing things I've seen in wholesaling. Now, it doesn't replace you as the wholesaler, but now I don't need an ad copy. I don't need it to write websites. It can scrape the internet for tons of information for you. And every 30 days, it seems like every week, there's another iteration of another smarter AI coming out. So you guys remember ChatGPT held back for the first 2 years. And now you got BART, which is the Google, and they're not holding back that 2 years. And it's just getting more and more aggressive. And you can constantly keep asking to rewrite it. The simpler, the better. The digital bandit signs, this also works for Craigslist. Facebook. I've never really tried Instagram. Instagram, it's a little bit more spread attention than TikTok. It doesn't work. So I just show you stuff that works, and it doesn't cost you a dime. I'm not talking about doing paid ads on Facebook. Honestly, I don't like that. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I just don't think people go to Facebook to sell their house to complete strangers, and they never had an intention of selling it. I don't know how you attract somebody on Facebook to do that. But if you go through the digital bandit signs, if you connect organically with them, it aligns with how I teach you to do wholesaling, which is have a connection with people. If you have a common hobby interest, it's easy. Like if you love fishing, you'd love to talk to me. If you love wholesaling, you'd love to talk to me. If you love spending time with family, you love talking to me. If you love the outdoors and boating, you love talking to me. You love exercise, I'm a great guy. And the reality is people want to connect with people that have similar hobbies, and that's just human nature. So why fight it? Just go ahead and use it. Fighting it is using Facebook ads. We are so buried in Facebook ads. I don't believe anything that says sponsored. It's just the truth. You guys are hammered in wholesaling. You can do like the wholesalers do, just go in our comments and try to backfeed all your stuff to try to get you guys, but you guys are smarter than that. My other favorite way is Ready? Garage sales. Now, I'm here to tell you, it's not what you think. You're not going to the garage sale to buy the house. I know that's what you guys were thinking, but the reality is, with today's computer age, you can pull up a list of all the garage sales in your area. Usually they're about a week out. And what you want to do is filter through the ones that are the chronic garage sales. There's people actually make a living doing garage sales every weekend. Ask me how I know, because they'll always pop up on your list. Get rid of those ones. Once you get a list, you basically create a spreadsheet. I believe I teach all this at freewholesaling.com. And what we noticed was people that were having garage sales usually coincide with getting a good deal on wholesaling. Why? They're not regular homeowners, although occasionally you do get a deal from that. They are landlords, and these tenants are usually doing what we call a midnight move out. So they'll post a garage sale. The landlord doesn't even know it. They get rid of everything in the house. The house is usually trashed. They put everything outside, and as soon as it's done, they collect the cash and they leave whatever's left over in the yard. Everybody picks through it. And then you basically cross-reference what we call an absentee landlord, an absentee owner, which is the same thing as a landlord. And they'll have a different mailing address. So you look it up on the county property appraiser site. Then you go over to truepeoplesearch.com and you just call them, go, hey, listen, John, I noticed you're having a garage sale at your house. You say it just like that, loud and proud. And if he or she goes, what are you talking about? Boom, you have liquid gold, because you just gave valuable intel to the landlord that his tenant's basically moving out without him knowing it. Now, don't be surprised if the landlords, can you go by and take pictures for me? Can you help me out? Go, I would love to do that. Can you let me know, is there any interest in selling the property? I would love to help you out. Now, I usually help them out even if they weren't selling the property, so I could have a future relationship with the people. You see, if you approach wholesaling like you want to help people fix problems, then sometimes you have to plant seeds for the future. But a lot of times when they go and look at the house, they see it's trash, they see a bunch of dirty furniture out on the curbside, and they see lots of repairs and no rental incoming. Boom. You have what we call a motivated garage sale landlord, and they are everywhere. You don't believe me? Just pull it up. So you can go hunt on Craigslist, Facebook, really the internet, Google, anywhere, and just get a list. And I teach you how to do it with the VA. You can scrape the information. Honestly, you can do it yourself. It's not that big of a deal. Back in the day, we used to mail it to them. What I highly recommend is you cold call them. It's the fastest way to get in touch with them. And guys, I've been this person that's had the midnight person move out with a garage sale. It's very disheartening. And for this reason, it's one of my favorite techniques. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's going to cost you some time, but it doesn't cost you a dime. And I'm here to tell you, it works really well. Now, I could go on and on, guys. I could go on. I'm going to do another one. So we talked about digital bandit signs. Let's talk about physical bandit signs. And you know what you guys should be saying right now? Rick, we only got 15 bucks. What's your plan here? So many of you guys think you have to go out and order $1,000 in bandit signs, have them custom printed, all these special colors, and have them shipped to your doorstep. Number one, the boxes are big and heavy. They're 18 by 24. Number two, it's a petroleum product, which means it's expensive. Back in the day when I did bandit signs, and I actually had a company and I had a warehouse because we printed so many, they were cheap. Like, honestly, we bought the boxes for next to nothing. Fast forward today and the cost of oil and everything, they are a fortune. The ink's expensive. The machines are very, very expensive. And I would not professionally print signs anymore. You know what? You know what we do today? You guys are going to laugh. I swear to you, all we do is you just get a blank 18 by 24 sign. Now, what you want to do is find a sign guy in your area and you either try to pay him cash. I know that's not the best thing for your accountant, but this is how you get the deep discounts. Sometimes they have a leftover misfit signs and they printed something wrong on one side. You can use the other side of it. I use those all the time. The other one is you can go to, so in our area, there's a sign manufacturer called Grimco. They have a giant warehouse, 100,000 square foot facility, and they wholesale the signs to little vending, like t-shirt shops, sign printing shops. Now, This is up to you, but if you're going to do them in bigger scale, you can buy them directly from there. You typically have to pay the tax, or you have to get a resale certificate. I'm not going to get into details on that, but it's not that hard to get. Because you use the signs within your business, you don't have to pay tax on it. It takes time to get through it, and you have some reporting in your state, or you can just pay cash, either or. Do not get caught up on this thing. Once you get the signs, you get them basically at half price. And then when you get the signs, you can get a cutting board. You know, the old school, well, I'm showing my age here. We used to have to cut paper, and you would stack like 4 signs and cut them in half. You can take those signs and you cut them in half. You can cut them in a quarter. And now you can do a tremendous amount of signs, or you can just use the 18 by 24. My suggestion is put out 10 or 15, maybe 20. You're about $1 a sign. And then what you're going to do is take one of those big fat Sharpie markers. This is a little one. This is an erasable one, but you can get them at a Home Depot for like $2 or $3. And then you're just going to write on the sign, sell your house today, anywhere, any condition, any price. And then you're going to put your virtual phone number on it. And you're going to go out and stick like 10 or 12 and see if they stick. You're going to put them in areas where people can stop by, use their phone, take a quick picture of it. So you got to be approaching a stop sign or a stoplight at preferably a major intersection or an ingress or egress to any type of neighborhood. Guys, I love Bandit signs. And I'm telling you, they are working in today's market. We have 2 markets we're doing them in. They are a lot of work to get out sometimes, but a lot of you guys are independent operators. Stop overlooking this. For $15, you can put out like 15 Bandit signs and run with it. Now, here's the key. I like to put them near Home Depots, Walmarts, any type of grocery store. Don't get too professional of a place because they'll constantly pull your signs out, and I'm not about wasting money. But look for the mattress guys and gals that put out, the huge mattress sale. By the way, they have a mattress sale every weekend. It never stops. And also look for the dating sites like the single.org puts a lot of signs out there. I tried to approach them for a partnership. They weren't interested in it, but we do have a common respect in the areas that we can still do it. You don't pull my signs up, I won't pull yours. And guys, as bad as you want to get in sign wars with these people, do not pull other people's signs because it's a karma thing. And I don't believe in it. And avoid putting signs out during heavy political campaigns because they get lost in it. Black ink, guys, white sign, put them out. You can cut the signs. You can make them smaller. I still like the 18 by 24 because it's big and bold. And remember, as long as that sign stays out there, if the wind doesn't knock it down, your competitor doesn't pick it up, or a dating site doesn't pick it up, that sign is working and communicating your message 24/7. A lot of people overlook these signs are powerful. If you can pick up a deal for $1 or $2 and get a nice $10,000 check, I have done my justice today. There's too many gurus out there trying to tell you got to do it all these fancy, sophisticated ways. And I'm here to tell you, you got to dig in your mind. I could go on for 4 hours on these. I told Zach I would. I'll give you a couple more. We'll go. A lot of people overlook, ready for this? REIAs. I guarantee for $15, you can get into any REIA. And by the way, usually if you go to your first meeting, it's free. REIA stands for Real Estate Investor Association. This is a place where like-minded people get together. To be honest with you, it's usually a guru show. Listen, I used to run one. That's why I stopped doing it, because I didn't want to sit there and sell every 3 minutes. And usually they have a speaker come in and they split the proceeds. So they're really getting paid to put butts in the seats. But the connection with the people around there before and after the meeting, it's absolutely amazing. And I still have some of my best friends from it. So I still go to REIAs, and I'm a junkie. And if you guys have a REIA in Florida or somewhere in the Southeast United States, I love to pop into them randomly because I am just a true wholesaler at heart, and I love it. I don't like the sales pitchy part of the REIAs. I think it gets abused. And a lot of times they're not even talking about wholesaling. So I find about 20%, maybe 25% of the time they talk about wholesaling, and I enjoy that part. But when they talk about house flipping and note buying, not that those strategies don't work. I'm just not interested in it because it's not part of my business plan, even though I've done them all. But if you really want to focus on wholesaling, it's all about the connections. And this is the best place to find your JVs by far. Hands down. End of story. Guys, honestly, I could keep going on and on. There's so many methods to get free leads. Like, let's talk about FSBOs. You got no cash, but you got stamina. Get on there and start wailing away on FSBOs. FSBOs is 100% a numbers game. You've got to do thousands of them. And I just rather you tell the truth. So many gurus are like, make 50 calls and see how it goes. It won't even cut the mustard in this field. Why? Because think about it. What's a FSBO doing? They want to sell the property and they don't want to pay all the fees that go with it. And they believe that their ego is bigger than any other realtors and they're smarter than the realtor. And honestly, FSBOs are some of the toughest properties to buy because you have the ego of the homeowner involved and it's very personal to them. And they can't handle lowball offers, as you guys probably know. And they're very emotionally attached to the property. Those are two things that never work out very well. So you have to go through a lot of calls and you got to find someone that's even slightly motivated. How do I find them in a FSBO? Number one, I'm looking for it to at least be on the market a minimum 60 days, preferably 90 days. Why? Because the market's told them you're crazy. They still sit out there. Number two, I look for multiple price reductions because that shows signs that they really want to move the property. And number three, you got to understand no matter what they put, what price they put on a FSBO, don't let it influence your offer because 9 times out of 10, their price is nuts. But there are motivated sellers within FSBOs all the time. I'm telling you, they are there. You can find motivated sellers on MLS, but then you even got to go through a higher volume game. And is it wholesaling or not? Not really. You just probably get a slight discount and you can make it work if you have the cash buyers for it. But guys, I got like 15 other things. It just gets on and on. So what I want to do is work with you guys and interact with you. And if you guys want to talk about a specific strategy, or if somebody wants to go in the comments and go, hey, Rick, show me this, show me that, I'd be happy to do it with you. But remember, I'm always talking about the basics of wholesaling. And by the way, I've been doing this 21 years. I do a lot of commercial. I do a lot of multifamily. I do a lot of wholesaling. I do it all. And the goal of my channel stuff is to get you introduced to wholesaling, to understand, number one, you can do it. And number two, you're going to have to work for it. And so many people think they come into wholesaling. I find some people come in, well, I've got $15,000. I'm like, okay, well, the guru is going to take probably 5 to 10 of that right off the bat. And then they're going to set you up with a month or two of marketing campaign. And then you're going to have to come back to me every time because you thought the money would be able to cheat you through. And I'm here to tell you, you still have to do the work. No matter if you try to pay a guru or you try to do it on the free, the best way to do everything, honestly, is go over to freewholesaling.com. See, you got to have a really long arm to do this. My marker's dying. I got to get some more markers. Go to freewholesaling.com, guys, because honestly, without diving through that course, you're not going to know how to do it anyways. And it's all done in sequential order. You got to start with the marketing, then it's going to go acquisitions, then dispositions. Because if you don't get your marketing going, you don't do this part in your list, it doesn't matter what you do on the other stuff. You're going to die. So the idea is you can take 1 or 2 days, deep dive into it, and then you start putting your plan together. Then you start your marketing, you go deep dive into it, and you're driving for dollars and you start cold calling people, or you might start mailing to people, or you might do reverse driving for dollars. I didn't even go into that. Reverse driving for dollars is just taking your pre-foreclosure list. You could take your water shutoffs. You could take, I wouldn't do your fire damage and the code violations. And then basically you take a yellow sticky note and you stick it on their doors. Say, listen, I got a quick question about your house. Call me, Rick, and your phone number on there. Why? Because if I got 100 pre-foreclosures, I put it in a route. You can use dmzac.com, or you can just put the route on your computer, however you can do it. And then you drive around and you stick them on there. You put 100, it takes some time. And then you get back and maybe 8 or 9 people call you. And then 3 people that actually show signs of motivation, because we teach you how to qualify them over at freewholesaling.com. And that's simple as it gets, guys. I'm just telling you, I could go on and on. I should probably do like a 4-hour marathon and walk you through every free technique, because it would blow your mind. You are only limited to what you think of. And if you use your old brain in your old job to try to figure out wholesaling, you will fail miserably. You're going to have to be open to everything, and you're going to have to push and push. When I talk about that earn list, I'm telling you, man, you got to go in and you got to fight. And it's not a physical fight. It's just a fight of the mind. So when people go, no, I can't get you that information. We have a privacy policy. Wow, really? So is there any way that you can find somebody in this office here that can help us facilitate? Because I do know it's public information. I do respect your privacy policy, but how can I access that information to research it as a tax-paying citizen of this county? I really want to know. And then you just constantly keep coming back to them super nice. And the key is to get the employee's consent to help you figure out this mess. Remember, it's not a public policy. It's a privacy policy. And to overcome resistance, you're going to have to beat it with persistence. But I never said bludgeoning persistence. You just got to keep re-asking the question in different ways each and every time. And usually if you can overcome an objection twice, you can get almost anything accomplished in your life. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this board a little bit out of the way because I'm getting crunched here. Okay, I'll slide that over there. So that's it, guys. I got 8 other things here, but it's just, you know what? I'd rather just talk to you guys. So what I'd really like to do is talk to you guys. I got some one-on-ones here, and I will stay on as long as I have people that have questions to ask. This is why I do Monday evening, because I know it gets hectic during the middle of the week, and especially when I go on at like 1 o'clock. So I know a lot of people on the West Coast are still in work. They're trying to get off, but this is where to do it. So if you guys need to jump on with the link, click that link. I put it in there for you. And you guys have no excuse here. Like, I'm giving you my time. I'm literally giving it to you. It's up to you if you're going to use it. So I see the 4 people that have taken advantage. I still have time, and we'll jump on there. Justin gave a little plug about the course. I appreciate it. That's really nice. What's up, Luca? Appreciate you. So let's see here. Cheryl says, Rick, quick question. How do the title companies report the fees they pay to the wholesaler? Is it different for a double close, for example, 10? So this is actually a really interesting question, because the reality is every title company does it different. For the most part, just for the most part, ask your title company if they issue a 1099. You want to know it up front. Now, I'm here to tell you guys, I pay my taxes just like I need you to pay your taxes. So there's nothing to hide. If you think you're going to get out without someone, you have to report your income. There's a paper trail and everything. So for the most part, if you have an LLC or anything like that, who cares? Unless you're trying to avoid something, don't worry about this. The only problem I ever have with title companies, if I use somebody else's title company, sometimes 2 or 3 years later, they issue a 1099 to my company. And that's a nightmare for me because I have to justify it to the IRS. And that's why I always want you to try to use your home field advantage title company, because that's what works best. And you've got to understand that. But honestly, if they give you a 1099 or not, it's usually made out to your, if your house buyer is LLC, it doesn't really matter. Where it becomes challenging when you're buying stuff in your own name and you get a 1099 2 years later, the IRS always has a problem with it. And so I try to simplify my life. Having title companies issue 1099s is a nightmare. And if they're going to do it, I'd rather them do it right there at the closing. So go ahead. Sorry about that, guys. But don't worry about it. You pay your taxes anyways. But I've had some rogue title companies issue me like a $300,000 1099 2 and 3 years later, and it's a nightmare because they give it to the IRS, and the IRS like, where's this money for this year? And what the title company refuses to tell them is they earned that 3 years ago. We got caught in an audit. And now we're doing the 1099 to cover our butts now. So hopefully that answers it. It's honestly, there's one thing in wholesaling. It is a paper trail company. I've had a few people pay me in cash, but honestly, for the most part, just report guys, because if you ever get audited or you ever got called to question, there is a huge paper trail from a HUD to the buyer, the seller, everything. There is no way around it. So make sure you just pay your taxes. And it's no big deal if you do a few deals under your name. Like, it's not the end of the world, because if you understand how taxes and liability works, an LLC just separates you from your company. So if your LLC got sued, they don't come after all your family assets. But just do you understand, when your LLCs, when you're reporting the taxes and you're doing your schedules, that money washes into your personal taxes, unless you step up and do an S corporation or C corporation. But I'm not here to give you tax or legal accounting advice. But I'm telling you, after you do 2 or 3 deals in your own name, get an LLC. I'm just telling you, they're within $150 to set up. There's a lot of companies trying to charge $3,000 to tell you the right way to do it. It's ridiculous, guys. Just go ahead and set it up directly with the state and understand, just comply, pay your taxes, open up a bank account, and you'll be fine. So, okay, let's jump on here. I had one other question I missed. Okay. So if you have a question, put it in the comments here, and let's jump on. Vince was first. What's up, Vince?
Rick, what's going on? How you doing?
Good, man. Long time no speak.
Yeah, man. Just been figuring everything out, making it make sense. You know how that goes.
Yeah. So what's going on, man? What do you need help with today?
So today, it's been a crazy world. I thought we was going to have 3 deals that closed, and all 3 of them are just going in shambles. I'm trying to catch something. One of them was a crazy situation. I was just trying to get your view on how you would handle it.
Okay.
Had a seller this past week. Well, we've been on the contract for about a month, but it's just been tough getting all these other paperwork in from other entities to make sure things close.
Yeah.
So we need the seller's authorization to get these, like mortgage payoff, lien, tax liens, things of that nature. So this past week, I had them, hey, we need this document. And they've been real slow about it. Because I've been talking to it. The person has an assistant. So he's been busy, and we're going to get to it, this and that. So this is a virtual deal. I had my boots on the ground, go and buy the property. He goes by the property. It's a guy living in there. Mind you, it was vacant. They evicted the last tenants.
Okay. Who's living there?
So he asked the guy, like, hey, did he sell you the house or whatever? He said, no, yeah, I've been renting it out for about a week. Mind you, he told me they had new appliances outside on the front porch. And the seller hasn't told me verbatim, Vince, I don't want to sell the house. But they talked to the title company today and said, oh, well, we're going to send you X document to close the deal. So
it's the seller that's doing this?
The seller that is not, as in what? What you mean?
So does the seller sign a contract with you, right?
Right. The seller signed the contract, but I'm saying the seller hasn't sent, I think, the mortgage payoff authorization document back for it to get the payoff amount. But they talked to the.
And is the seller the one renting it out weekly?
No, the seller had the house vacant.
Okay.
They evicted a tenant beforehand.
Yeah.
Now it's a new tenant in there, but they didn't say nothing to me about not. I asked them, do they want to cancel the agreement? I've been saying, do y'all want to cancel it? Do y'all want to? They've been like, no, we're going to still close the deal, but they didn't tell me nothing about another person in there.
Well, so does the seller know about this new tenant in there, or is they're playing stupid?
That's the thing. I haven't talked to them since last week, and I just found this information on Friday.
Yeah, people are weird. How long ago did you enter in a contract with them?
This was like the end of March.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get a hold of the seller. People are weird sometimes, but I always remind them. I always say, listen, is there an issue, something I need to know about? And you're just gonna have to go through. Hey, listen, somebody popped up in the house. I would get them set for the closing, and get like the paperwork you need, and then I would drop the bomb on them about the person in the house. Because if you don't get the paperwork, you don't even have to worry about the person in the house. Because you got to make sure he has the right intent. So he's kind of ghosting you, right?
Right.
And when's the last time you spoke to him?
Man, probably like earlier last week, like on a Monday or last week, before I even knew about it.
Older person, younger person?
Well, this is actually his assistant I talked to on Monday. And she was like, oh, well, he's going to get the documents in. I'm saying this was on Monday. I was like, well, Monday go turn to Friday real quick, and we're gonna.
I would drive her nuts. Like, so by the way, if he has an assistant, it means either he's got a really big ego or, you know, he has a decent business. Either one's painful. But assistants can't take the pressure too long, and they usually cave. So I would lean on that assistant as hard as you can. I would find the assistant on Facebook, Instagram. I would be DMing him like, listen, I got lawyers all up my butt. Like, you told me this time. And then next time you go on the phone and go, listen, I'm giving you one more time and I'm holding you accountable. If you say he's going to have those documents by Wednesday, that's when it needs to be. And I always say, listen, you want me to come by your house or your office? Which one do you want? And then that's when I look up, dude, I'm a savage, dude. I will look up all their social media profiles and I'll hold them accountable. Now, we're not talking like mafia style. Like, I know where your daughter goes to school type of deal, but hey, listen, I know you guys are in the city. I know it's your office here. Like, what's the deal? Like, how should I just send somebody over there? Even though you're not going to send someone over there, the threat of doing it might like get her on the hook. But listen, I don't like to make people cry, but I'll make an assistant cry. No problem. Because either he's lying through his assistant or there's like a real connection problem. Either way, Vince, you got to find the truth out sooner or later. You're running a business. So listen, I always give people one freebie. And then the second one, I give them a stern warning. And the third time I call BS on people, man. Hey, listen, we have it under contract. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Which one do you want to do it? Because you're wasting my time right now. So we have a contractual agreement. Are you going to honor your agreement or do I need to go do something else? And just ask. And if he's like, what do you mean? I go, and I always try to work stuff out with people until they just become unreasonable and irrational. And I'm not here to tell you, most of the deals, when I get them like that, I just walk away from them because life's short. And if you've ever entered into a lawsuit to have someone forced to close, it's not easy as it sounds. So you do have to have their consent. But there are things you can do to make them, let them know that one way or the other, you're going to come back to me. So they can't enter into agreements and just walk away and ghost you. But you got to be accountable for your time you spend with. I'm guilty of letting people, guys like that'll be 3 months. And then we come back like 2 months, we start hitting them up and they start ghosting us and find out they've entered in other contracts, stuff like that. Just here's what you do, Vince. Just try to be a truth seeker as soon as possible. Because at this point in the stage, you're past the, I'm going to hold your hands as the motivated tellers. You got to get to the truth. And so here's one thing I also say to the assistant, where can I send a legal document to you guys? And you'll hear pins drop. What do you mean a legal document? Well, if I can't get this property bought by this date, we have a problem because we have a legal agreement here. And I got to send you some legal clarification and documentation to make sure you understand your obligation as the seller. And I sometimes will even say to the assistant, should I hold you accountable? Because you seem the only person I can talk to. Why can't I talk to the owner? What is the problem? Is there something I'm missing? By the way, most assistants will melt down and break down on you. So don't make her cry or he cry, whatever it is. But dude, get to the truth as fast as possible. And guys, it's common. I always have a dozen, 15 contracts sitting out there. I never get them all to hit. So like this is somewhat the norm, but it hurts when you get 3 and have 3 fail. I hear you, but you got to get to it. Honestly, the sooner you get to the truth, the better. There's something going on. Either he's extremely lazy or he's BSing you. And I don't know which one.
I don't mind him not wanting to sell. That doesn't hurt me at all. It's the fact that
you're worse, dude. You're in the friend zone with a commitment. That's even worse. Right? That's like the girl writing on there. He goes, listen, Vince, I'm going to go out with you and we're going to go to the prom and I'm going to make you look real good. And then you show your friends the note. And then suddenly she's like, hey, I'm getting the tux. What kind of flowers? And she goes to you. And then you're like, man, this is even worse. I'd rather you just said no up front.
Because I'm afraid, like I told the buyer's ready. Everybody's ready.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that, hey, I don't know, maybe in a month he want to sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just got this guy in here for like 2 months and then he wants to sell. Like,
listen, I would just, Hey, listen, I have my lawyer getting all the paperwork. Even though if you don't have a lawyer, you can tell me you have a lawyer looking stuff over. And I'd have the title company just hammer them, man. I use my title company for a lot, but I treat my title companies really good. But when they hear it from like a third party, like, oh, this Vince guy's serious.
Because what she's been doing, the title company, they've been calling every day religiously.
Yeah. Well, I would go on an attack. I would give the assistant one more try, and then I would start going on social media, just trying to backdoor them through DMs and stuff like that, and just try and keep pushing buttons. Because what happens if the assistant gets stressed out, she's usually going to push that back on her boss and go, listen, you either got to like sell this property to the defense guy or get him off my back. But either way, I'd rather you just get the truth, even if it's bad news, so you can make a decision in your life and move on. That's the challenging of people when people start doing that stuff. When you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and it gets exhausting. So just get clarification and get the answer. Maybe sucks because you can't go left or right with it. So just sometimes you just got to smash them in the face. And then you can leave them hanging if they're going to leave you with a terrible comment. Go, well, listen, I'm going to consult my lawyer and see what I need to do. And eventually you're going to have to come to terms with me. Now, that's an open threat. I'm not telling you to do it, but if you leave it in the back of people's minds, they'll think twice. Because think about it. They entered into a legal agreement with you. That's what they need to do. So he's got another host of problems doing short-term rentals and all that other stuff. Is the property in disrepair?
Yeah. I mean, it's in not bad shape. That's not livable. That's why I was trying to figure out what they're doing, but it's not in great shape that somebody would want to move.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a Karen that calls on people and tells, because that's what sissy boys do, but don't get me started on that. But they have code violation issues. Doing short-term rentals like that, I'm sure whatever county you're in, like most counties, if you do short-term rentals, you owe an additional tax between 5 and 7%. And the county, boy, they pursue it vigorously in my area. So just remind him the host of problems. He has what he's doing, but just try to get an answer from him. I don't have like just try to get to the answer as soon as possible. And I would press his assistant.
What about the buyer that I have? Because it's about what he's trying to get property. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do I tell him like, hey, everything's good?
No, I just tell him, I go, listen, I'm working on a little bit of an issue, and just bear with me, and I'll keep you updated. And sometimes it just takes a little bit to get through these deals. That's like, I don't like to lie to people, because if I need a little bit of flexibility, but you're going to have a hard, stern discussion with them and get them on the ropes, because as you write, another day will turn into a week will turn into a month. And then as you keep giving him, you got to just pin him in a corner and get an answer from him.
Okay.
Go, listen, should I just go down to the courthouse and file an affidavit? Because I don't understand. You entered into a legal agreement, but you don't want to seem to want to follow through with it. Am I missing something? Have I upset you? Are you not happy with our agreement? Did I miss something? Are you, just something, and just start pressing them and just go, hey man, just pound them. I'd rather you just get the answer you need, and then you can figure out what options you want to do. But you've done everything in good faith. And if you haven't had any weird conversations with them, I would just press them for an answer. And the key is I would use him as assistant, because the assistant's going to feel stress and she's going to push it back on her boss. And either she's going to leave him or he's going to give you a final decision.
Right.
And I always leave it with people. I go, well, remember, regardless of your decision, you entered into an illegal agreement with me. Right. I get it. I can't make you close, but I do have remedies to get your attention.
Right.
Once again, it's an open threat. I'm not telling you guys to do that, but like when you've done everything to the book and and they do that, it just ticks me off. It's ridiculous, because they're just wasting your time. And there's a penalty for wasting people's time. Now, you could legally record an affidavit depending on what state you're on, and basically cloud his title. But keep in mind, there are risks when you do that. But if you've done everything you could to remedy it, and here's what I do with those people. I document, hey, our contract expires April 30th. I'm going to be at the title company on the 30th at 10 a.m. I'm going to document I was there ready to fund and close. And if you don't show up, I'm just going to have to file paperwork with the lawyer to prove I gave you every opportunity and you completely ignored the contract. And then there's going to be a consequence for it. But I'd rather just work it out with you. Which one do you want to do? And just see what they do. Some people think you're full of crap, and I've recorded affidavits when people try to screw me out of stuff, but for the most part, I let them go. I've been countersued on 2 affidavits. So it does. By the way, guys, if you record an affidavit and you don't do it correctly, you can be personally liable and sued for a lot of money. So I don't like to do them unless I have proof documentary that they ignored every facet of the contract. Then you don't have a choice sometimes. But it's weird when it gets on a lawyer's hand, the story changes completely. She was tired. She didn't know where you are. She's dazed and confused. I go, she's 28 years old. Like, that story doesn't work with me. So, well, you never really had a legal deposit. They'll go through everything to try to get out of the paperwork. So just make sure. I always tell you, if you're going to record an affidavit, either run it by your title company or, more importantly, a lawyer. Because if you record it wrong and you screwed up the contract, you're now open to a countersuit for damages. And they could say they couldn't sell their property because you didn't do the correct diligence in the paperwork. And I got sued on that once and I had to settle. And I had a lawyer record it, and I just gave up in the end. I gave him like $5,000 and moved on. And I learned a valuable lesson. I'm like, so just push them and see what the outcome is, and then make a decision from there.
All right. I have another situation where the seller wants to sell, but the tenants haven't paid rent in about 8 months.
Oh, what paid?
So I actually got in contact with the tenants and just said, hey, owner wants to come, have us check the inside of the property, do some renovations, updates. And the lady was like, oh, well, I'm gonna have, first it was come this day, and then it was the miscommunication thing where, oh, I thought you just wanted to come see the outside of the house.
Yeah, no,
no, we wanted the inside and outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm gonna tell my husband. So the husband reached out to me and was like, well, we will let you all know our availability for you to come see the property.
Yeah.
So
have you looked over the terms of the lease? Is there a lease? No lease?
No.
So just look up the statutes in your state. Are you in Florida?
Yeah, but this is a deal in Ohio.
Okay, so you got to look up the statutes in Ohio, or talk to your title company. They usually know it pretty well there, or an attorney. Most states, even if you don't have a lease or something, the owner has a certain legal right to access the property with suffice notice. Now, I can tell you, if you give somebody 72 hours to a week's notice and you post it clearly on the door, I believe you're covered. But it has to come from the owner of the property, the landlord. So here's what I do when they call. I go, listen, I tell you what, I get it. Your schedule's hectic, but we can do this one or two ways. We can either agree to a mutual time to make it as convenient as I can on you, or I'm going to have the owner post a notice on your door, and we're just going to show up with a key. Which way do you want to do it? And I don't mean to be nasty about it, but after a while, you know what's going on. And you have the right to do that. It's not pleasant, but unfortunately, I have to do it more often than I want to, because let's face it, the tenant's got a great deal there. How much they paying in rent?
0.
You're going to screw that up. The other way you can do it, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but you can go through and just say, listen, the owner wanted me to take a look at the house to see if there's any repairs that need to be made, and he wanted me to talk directly to the renters. And the renters are going to be like, either you're full of crap, which would probably be either gut instinct, or they're like, oh my God, we can get some stuff for free. I've done that, and they've opened it up right up for me. A lot of times you just got to you got to get their consent, but like, always look at it like you're on their side. Hey, I'm here to help you out. If I never promised to keep him in there, but like, all I want to do is get access to look at it to figure out what's going on. Your worst case scenario, if you can't get access to it, you can get an idea what it is, and you write the offer accordingly. And what's the seller going to do? Like, if you can't get me access to it, this is the offer, and that's the best I can do.
Right.
So find out what the legal posting is, and then have him work with you through that. But you can either try the finagling with the renters that aren't paying. Say, listen, he just wanted me to check the P-trap in the bathroom, because he says it usually acts up after about the 3rd year, and we're coming up on that. And I go, oh, they're going to fix something for free. Why not? Or the other one and go, listen, I'd rather do this the easy way and just find a mutual time that's convenient for you and your family, or the owner says, he can just post a notice and he has a key to the unit.
Mm,
I don't want to do that. Listen, I got a family too, but
right.
one way or the other, I have to get in there, and I respect you, but like you got to let them know you don't have an option here. It's going to go one way or the other. And I've never really forcibly entered into a unit. I've never really had to, but that notice alone, usually they'll go, okay, how about Tuesday at 3:00? When they see that notice, they freak out. So you can send it certified and post it on the door, and it's usually a scare. But it's true that they don't own the unit, and especially since they're not paying rent. Now, my favorite part, Vince, those are usually the deals I get the best deals on landlords. They don't want to. So sometimes they go, listen, Rick, how can you buy this without really looking at the property and rocking my tenants? I'm just like, well, it's worth 200 grand. I can offer you like 60 grand. Does that work? I probably figured out on that. I don't know. I can never do that. Okay. Well, you got to get me in there. And in order to get me in there, I need you to post a legal notice. Or if you give me consent, I'll put it up there, but you got to sign it. That's it. Remember, it's got to come from him, not you, because you don't own the property.
And you say I could talk to the statutes with the title company and see what I can do?
Usually they know. They're like, hey, what's first of all, try your good friend Google AI.
Right.
And research Ohio laws. But every owner, other than like California and New York, which like they're crazy laws, like in Florida, we only require 24 hours notice, period. End of story. Once you post it on the door, and we always give 48, 72 hours. And then we usually call them, knock on the door, and that's it. They can call the police. If you show that they're the owner on deed, there's nothing they can do.
Okay.
The third way, which is controversial, is you could say, listen, I work with the insurance company. They wanted to do a random inspection of the house. I'm going to be in and out. I don't care what's going on here. I just got to let them know the house is working properly. Now, are you lying? Yeah, it's borderline, but sometimes you got to do some extreme stuff when you got difficult tenants. Exactly. You got to like think outside the box. How can I not tick off the tenants without a massive confrontation? And then remember, when you're always there, I use the tenants as fuel. The tenants will literally tell you everything that's wrong with the property. The toilets don't flush, the roof leaks, this thing's a piece of crap. This is why I don't pay the rent. I'm like, oh, listen, I get it. Hey, what else? So maybe I can help you out here. I let them unload. And by the time I come back with a list, sometimes I've had legitimate tenants like, we're not paying him because he won't fix one thing on this house, and we've tried everything and we're scared. Now, it doesn't alleviate them from paying the rent, but there's a lot of cheap landlords out there. So I look at, like, I try to be an advocate. Once I get that information, I go back and meet with the guy. I go, dude, we got some real problems here. And 9 times out of 10, here's what they say: Rick, will you just buy it and take these tenants? I don't want to deal with it anymore. I have a price for that. I will take it over tenants, but like, I got to assume I got to get a lawyer, get him kicked out, and do that whole 9 yards.
How do you, and say if I was to do that, right? How would you market that to buyers? Do you just take a picture of the front and then, send it to them? Like,
yeah, but remember, once you have control of the property, then you can enter the property with consent in the doors. But like, remember, whatever savings you're getting, you're usually going to just pass it on to the new buyer because they're going to have to put up with some crap too. So you got to get a substantial discount. So remember, the more problems you have to overcome, the more of a deal you need. And that's just how life works. Now, if you can take over a massive problem like that and then cut a deal with the tenant to leave by the end of the month before you close, you can usually really strike a nice profit level. But it doesn't always work out. Right. Sometimes I have to close on it with my money or transactional money and then get rid of the problem. But sometimes getting rid of the problem gets you a massive amount of money, but you have to manage your risk. If you don't have money to fund it, then you got to do an assignment. So if you got a $15,000 discount, you got to pass 5 or 7 on to your new buyer to incentivize them to take over that deal with the headaches. Right?
My last question.
Yeah.
How do you deal with people, say the seller wants to get rid of it, right? And you got the daughter or the niece or the ex-family member that's like, oh, you should get more for this property.
Yeah.
That's influencing them.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but remember, you cannot make people sell you a house. Always remember that. You can't make them. So how many decision makers on this transaction you're talking about?
It's him and his daughter.
Okay. So one's on board, one's not, right?
Yeah. The dude that actually is on the title was ready to get the deal on the contract, and then his daughter looked it up. It's a land deal, and she's like, "Oh, well, it's actually worth this much." But
so is his daughter on the title?
No.
But is she, every time you talk about the property with him, she's always there?
No.
Well, that's an easy one. You just got to appease him. Like my always challenge is when I get a probate and there's like 4 people on there and 3 agree and 1 holds out. It's a nightmare. And here's what I remember at the end of the day. You can try to sell it till you turn blue. The only person you can convince is the people that want to get it done. They have to convince that outside party that it's what's best. You will never, ever accomplish that. You can't. You are like arch enemy number 1. So if he has to convince his daughter, it's really, he has to do it. But you have to, like, if he has full autonomy to sell it.
Right.
I know what I want to say, but I can't say it on the air. So I'll, I got to find an outlet where I can say some of the stuff I actually mean. Sometimes some people just got to man up and make a decision. If it's best for him and he's the only person on title, I don't understand why he's so concerned what his daughter thinks.
Right.
And here's what I say, why don't you just sell it to your daughter?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Why did she buy it if she thinks it's such a good deal? But really, the only problem you have is just his conscience, because he feels bad about his daughter.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she'll probably fall asleep on it. If it's at a vacant piece of land.
Right.
I would just stay with him. That's the easier of all this. When you're talking about probates or multiple people on the deed, I always just let him breathe a little bit. And then I always focus on, here's what you come back to him. John, remember when you reached out to me when we talked about buying this piece of property, this land? What is it you said to me? I want to get rid of it. I'm tired of paying taxes on it, and I'm not really doing anything with it anyways, and I could use this money for something else. Just focus on what their trigger was to work with you in the first place. And go, listen, see how much more time you're going to spend with your daughter. But I understand your daughter has an objection to it, but it is a raw piece of land. And unless she wants to buy it, why don't we just achieve what you ultimately want to get so you can get on with your life and be happy? And that's it. And sometimes you just got to circle the wagons. That's all you can do.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Okay, bud. Let me know how it works out, Vince.
All right, Rick.
Okay, man. See you later. Peter, you there? Peter. There you are, man. How you doing?
How we doing? I'm good.
Good, man. Look, he's got the whiteboard behind him there.
Yeah, I'm at the office today.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question for you. I didn't really have anything until just now. I was calling for leads earlier today for evictions in a county, and they don't have them posted online. So I called the clerk of court, and I guess it was small. I can't remember what commission it was, but they said they don't post them online, and I have to go in and physically take care of it.
Your voice is cutting in and out. Your microphones.
Sorry, 1 second.
There you go. I didn't hear any of what you said.
Okay. So I went through the clerk of the court's website, couldn't find the evictions, called the clerk of court. I can't remember what department they sent me to, but they said they have lists for in person, but they won't email me them.
Well,
is there a way around that, or is there another site I could go to? I just didn't know what you did in those situations.
I mean, it should be, I got to be honest with you, the 2 easiest lists, in my opinion, to get is the foreclosure list and the eviction list, because they're very public. They have to be due to the law. You have to announce to the world you're being sued and you got X amount of days to rectify it. And not only they got to print it in publications like the old school, you don't really do newspapers anymore, but they got to legally serve them in person, and then they got to make it publicly available online. So honestly, evictions, I've never, ever had problems getting an eviction. My suggestion is always go down there once in person, and it will solve most of your problems.
I'm doing virtual. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the bit of the challenge, but there's got to be, you got to understand, an eviction is nothing more than a lawsuit. It's very public. So there's got to be a way to look it up. You got to find the classification. Sometimes you have to get like a business account to get them. But honestly, if you were going to tell me this was like probates, code violations, I agree 100% with you. But the 2 easiest lists, in my opinion, to get are the foreclosures and the eviction list, because it's a public lawsuit and they have to announce it to the world. And there's certain statutes in each state that they have to fulfill, and there's no way around it. So how you get that list in each, you got 3,500 plus counties. They all have like their special way of doing it. So I would just kind of ask for help, but like that should be a default list. It shouldn't be like an optional, but you're still doing with humans.
Yeah.
And I go, it's a pain in the ass, but call back, try to get a hold of someone else and go, listen, I need to pull up all the evictions and just keep it. There's no real like funny talk with this. It's like, I just need the open lawsuits for the process of eviction. And how can I find this information online so I don't bug a pretty lady like you on the phone? And that's, you just got to keep charming them and keep working through it. But like the foreclosure, you don't even have to ask. That's the most public. Eviction. I don't really do the divorce list. I never really promote it because it's a nightmare. It's just the nature of the beast. So I would just circle back around. And the benefit of it, like a little hint, like in the state of Michigan, they put the landlord's phone number right on there. I don't know why Michigan does that. They don't. They do it just a few times in the state of Florida, but a lot of times if they own a corporation or an LLC, they have to hire a lawyer just to enter into the lawsuit. But I don't know. I would recircle it. You shouldn't challenge to get that list at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I was just doing Zach's 5-finger death motto, and that was the next thing on my list. So that was the only roadblock.
Tell me about. I like what's your hat there?
It's a country concert, country artist. I mean, I bartend at a event place on the side, so I just get free merch.
I like unique hat, so it's pretty cool, man. You got anything else for me, Peter, while I'm on?
No, hopefully a deal within the next month, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, cool. Okay, bud, hit us up if you need anything. Okay, man. See you later. Kyle, you there?
Yeah, hey Zach, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's Rick, man. What's going on? It's okay, man. If I look like Zach, I'm okay with it too, because I did have somewhat to do with producing him. But what's going on, man? What can I help you out with?
I've got a little bit confused, but yeah, So I've been reverse driving for dollars. I'm not in like obviously the best market. I'm in the Bay Area. I did the reverse the pre-foreclosure list, and I just
when you say the Bay Area, which Bay?
San Jose.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were like, oh, maybe it's Tampa Bay.
Oh no.
Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I just reverse drive for dollars. I just did the post-it notes. Just call me back. And then he actually called me back. So he was interested. He said he didn't even want to keep the house. There's just a lot of issues with it. And also there was a reverse mortgage, and the person who had the reverse mortgage died, and apparently he can't even like keep it if he wanted to. That's what he told me. I've been talking to him for about a month, but he seems like him and his sister are like in a disagreement. Like they wanted to sell it to a realtor, or not sell it to, or list it with a realtor. His sister signed with someone else. She wants to go to someone, another realtor now, even though she already signed with another person. He didn't sign with anyone. So basically, I'm just there. Like, there's only 3 more weeks left right now. So I'm just I already have a buyer. We kind of agreed on a price for $835.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to get him to sign, because he seems very like they just seem like that they're still like looking for a realtor. I'm like, you're running out of time. This is, you're gonna lose all the equity just for this. And then
so what is he running out of time on it? What's is it being foreclosed on?
Yeah, being foreclosed on the 17th of next month.
So you know how reverse mortgages work, right? They're
they
want to drag them on as long as they can to eat all the equity out of the homeowner. But so is it him and his sister?
Yeah, him and his sister own it now, and they wanted to, like I said, they want to list it with a realtor, but they're on a disagreement about which realtor. So he hates her realtor and she hates his realtor. So I don't know.
Okay, well, I would just find out what they, would you be okay netting this amount? And if so, I can move forward. We can solve it right away. And remember, you can't make people sell you a house, but find out what their ultimate goal is. The problem is a lot of people in the Bay Area, they think everything's worth $5 million.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. So like, if they think it's worth 1.5 million, you already know what their problem is. Go, listen, you're going to get 0 if you let them just take it back. And by the way, every day they wait to make a decision, that the debt is piling up on that thing. So listen, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I won't bother you. But by the way, a realtor's not going to get that thing sold in 2 weeks. By the way, reverse mortgages are a nightmare. The only way I can ever make a reverse mortgage works if someone calls me within a month or 2 after someone passes away. You got a shot. Reverse mortgages are meant to sit 2 to 3 years Why? Because all the debt accrues on the back end until the point where they just force a sale and just take the property away from the heirs. So reverse mortgages are a nightmare. You can't take them over. There's no creative financing. I hate reverse mortgages because to me, they're very predatory with the banks, but it makes some people comfortable, but in the end, the family has to deal with it. It's a nightmare. So I would just kind of reach out and just see if you could meet with the sister. But like, obviously, if you're fighting over realtors, if they only have a couple weeks left, it's just a waste of time. So I would find out what the net you think your buyer's going to get them and see if they're okay with that. And if not, it's going to go to auction and they're probably going to get nothing out of it. So I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. So you got to dig into it, man. But like, remember, you can't make her do it. So is he's reasonable and she's not? Do you think he's hesitant because his sister's not on board?
Yeah, he said he would have already signed, but he just said his sister thinks they can get more with a realtor, which is why she's dragging it out.
So what's the average amount of days a house goes on the market in San Jose? It's got to be at least 45 to like 70 days, right?
About it's been going down a lot. Like here, it's like one of the worst. I think.
Yeah. So
the biggest dip.
Yeah. So here's the line I would say is like, well, you don't need a realtor. You need a buyer right now. I can solve this. But like if we did this 6 months ago, I'd tell you to go with the realtor. But you know, I would just try to have a meeting and sit down and rationalize with her. And I would get him on board first and then have him try to convince her and then try to set up a meeting if you guys are local and just try to talk her off the ledge. I don't know why she's so hung up on a realtor. Maybe she is a realtor. Maybe her friends are realtors. I have no idea. But
she's not. But I think she just wants a lot for the property.
Well, that's the problem. But if you have proof to show when, you know, that they're going to be shut out of that property, that's what you got to show her. Go, listen, I'm just trying to help you at this point. Like, I get it. I want you to get more money, but here's where we're at. You need a buyer in the next 2 weeks, and you're not going to get this from a realtor. If you don't do it, you guys are going to get probably nothing.
Yeah.
So, and just negotiate with her a little bit. See if she thinks it's worth like 1.52 million, that's what you're usually at. Like, you can't make that happen. So don't waste your effort. But if you're close, go ahead and make it happen. But you're going to have to push, and you just got to push and frame it. Say, listen, if you don't do nothing, if you're okay getting nothing, then I guess you've made the decision. But there's no realtor's going to close on that thing in 2 weeks. You really have a buyer for it?
Oh yeah, I called this guy. He agreed to 870, and I was kind of telling him he agreed to 850 before, but I told him, like, you know, the longer this goes by, the faster we're gonna have to close, and we're gonna need a lower price. Is basically what I told him. So
I mean, your other strategy is to try to get the I guess the brother to sign, and then you can use that as strategy when you meet with her. Like, if you don't sign, I tell you what the outcome is. You get zero. This is nothing, nada, period. So how much do they owe on the mortgage? Do you know what the payoff is?
600, and well, the price that I agreed with the brother is 850, but I told him he agreed to 835 now that it's been too long. So I'm just kind of waiting for his sister.
So just try to push the meeting and just try to talk. Remember, this isn't a sales thing, and just find out what's stuck in her head and how long she's been working on the problem, and then show the proof. Like, if you don't do anything in the next 14 days, this is what's going to happen. And honestly, I think you're past the point of a realtor. Like, realtors need time to market it, make it perfect, inspections. You don't have time for any of that. If you're telling me it's the 2 weeks, I would just try to have the meeting and just say, listen, what is it you expect to get for this property? I want 1.5. I go, I'm not saying it's not possible, but you're going to need 6 months to get that. And you're going to have to put money in the place, and you're going to have to sign a listing agreement with the realtor, which is probably going to cost you another $50,000, $60,000 in expenses by the time you close on it. What do you truly expect the net? What if I could get you a check and get this all wrapped up in under 2 weeks? She goes, well, I want 500. I'm like, once again, I would love to pay you 500, but we have to see what the house is actually worth with all the conditions going on today. And then that's when you have the brother pipe in and go, listen, sis, we can both take like 110 each, or we get nothing. Which do you want to do? So I would set the meeting up with both of them and make sure you have your ammunition on what happens if they do nothing. and then get in her head and see what she's trying to solve, and let the brother be the one like, are you crazy? Because remember, you can never tell a woman that she's crazy. It's not a guy's point to ever tell them that. Trust me on this. So always use the other family member because he wants it done. And he doesn't want to sign because she's probably going to give him a lot of crap if he signs. So put him on the spot. You got nothing to lose. You're going to have to press pretty hard here. Remember, you can't make them sell. And honestly, if they don't want to do anything and you're going to list it with a realtor and interview realtors for the next 2 weeks, God bless you. Don't call me on the last day. There's nothing I can do. And then you can calculate. It's probably costing them $1,000 a day every day they don't make a decision.
Yeah.
He
told me it's expensive.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, last question. So about the realtor thing, you said that it's past that point. So he said they're going to get an extension, but I was wondering, like, because I told him it's like it's getting really late. So like I don't know.
They're going to get an extension what, from the court?
Yeah, like so that they can have time to list it or something like that.
Well, I mean, if they're working with a lawyer or directly with the judge, maybe, but you got reverse mortgages. They'll give you all the time in the world. Why? Because they just keep eating the equity up in the property and they keep hitting you with lawyer's fees. So most reverse mortgages for 24 months, they just let them go because they accrue all the interest and the expenses. And they rather you wait because the bank's making money every month on that. So they're not in a shoot. They might give them an extension, but what's that extension going to cost them?
A lot of money. Just every
and
day.
How long they've been dealing with this?
Yeah.
How long they've been dealing with this?
They got their notice in like September, so it's been a while.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Listen, set up a meeting with her, show the paperwork, and then just say, listen, what is it that you truly want to accomplish here? And then let the brother be the lever, like, sis, I think we just take the money and run. And that's what you want to hear. You can't make them do it, but like you got a lot of reverse mortgages are bad. Reverse mortgages are good for the person that's alive. And when they pass away, it is a nightmare for the family. Very few reverse mortgages can I ever make work unless I catch them extremely early because they're designed to eat the equity up. And once it gets around 80, 85%, they're going to foreclose because the bank won't take a risk past that because they're not going to get their money back. And that's what they're designed to do. So let them know the reverse mortgage is banking on you're just going to keep delaying this process till you have no money left in it. Why don't I go ahead and get you the money now? You know, based on and you just got to find out what the number in his head. And if it's like a crazy number, let the brother talk her out of it. It's not your job. And you know what it's worth. If it's not worth more than $1 million, $2 million, you got to leave some money to make it work, or they need to fix it up and do it right.
I see.
Press the conversation, man, because there's no tiptoeing around this. Just hit them with it. Go, listen, if you don't want to sell it, I get it. But like every day, I think you're giving away like $1,500 to the bank and they want you to do this. So try to use her and leverage the brother and then just tell them what the ultimatum if they don't do anything. And that's all you can do, man. Weird people. I've watched people walk away from $700,000-800,000 of equity just over principle and ego. It's a joke.
That's crazy, man.
I know.
I appreciate the help.
Okay, bud.
Have a nice day, man.
Later. Guy, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
How you doing?
Pretty good. We talked here. I'll put my camera on. So we talked a little bit ago. I forget exactly what, but I have my first deal closing tomorrow, first thing in the morning. So that's when it's getting wired over. The closing documents are signed, everything. But
awesome.
I was just wondering what I should do, what I should reinvest the money into.
Go out and finding other deals. How did you get that deal?
It was actually referred to me from someone in Texas. It was a pay-per-click lead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. How much did you pay for it?
I'm just gonna probably give him like $1,000 at closing.
And how much you making on it?
15.
Wow. And how did you find that that source?
It's just community I'm in, like virtual community on Discord. But
I got it. So I would continue to try to work with them because the reality is every 100 people that approach you with that offer, very few ever come through. It's just the reality of it. So although that's great, you want to expand on that source. Are you doing it locally or virtually?
It's locally. I've been doing a bunch of other marketing, but for some reason, like he just gave me one lead and that's the one that hit. So
It is, but don't get lazy on it.
Yeah.
Consider it as a gift. And then what state are you in?
Utah.
So, boy, I mean, your market's really expanding up there.
Yeah.
You got to get out and to like get into it. I would just bury myself on the government list, and then I would find one of the marketing meetings I talked about earlier: cold calling, SMS, driving for dollars, and you know it's warming up. I would just you got to go crazy. What you guys got to understand is your first. How long you been wholesaling for?
2 months.
Okay, so your first 2 years. You're just trying to get the engine started. It sputters, and every now and then it spits out something really good. And the problem is the consistency. So how you cure that problem is by taking a massive amount of action and just frickin' market like crazy. You cannot market enough in wholesaling. Now, a lot of people think you need to spend a fortune marketing. You don't. That's where most people get in trouble with gurus. They'll pay the guru 5 or 10 grand, and then they'll commit to a $5,000 budgeting market, and they don't know how to talk to people. And they struggle and they lose a lot of money. And then they get one deal and they go, I just made a fortune. And then their guru holds the check up. I'm like, yeah, but you made 10 grand, but you paid him 10 and you paid 15 grand in marketing. Yeah. Like you're way upside down. And that's why I don't call you guys students. Even the people I partner with, I go, look what so-and-so did. I take zero credit for what you guys do because it's ridiculous for like people to take credit for what you do. So don't think you can buy every lead because I've tried that. You can't. Yeah. So what I would do is I would dive deep into those government lists and I would go driving for dollars, go hard in the paint. And then you seem to know how to network with people. I would just network with everybody in all your local REIA groups and everything. It doesn't mean go in and buy all their crap. It just means network with the people there. So my first 2 years, I think I went to every REIA meeting I could possibly go to. Within a 100-mile area. I went everywhere. I just want to know everything. And honestly, I got some serious lessons in that. And I got some of my best JV partners everywhere. And everybody knew Rick's really good at finding motivated sellers. He sucks with cash buyers. He spends no time on it. I didn't care. I do 10 deals in a month. I'm like, if I make 10 grand a deal, I can make 100 grand. You guys sit there and chase the cash. Because I found cash buyers annoying. I go, I can figure that out later. Yeah. And I did, but I gave up a lot of money and I made 2 or 3 wholesalers. I made their entire career the first 2 years. And then when I got my own dispo, they were like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm like, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Yeah. They never wanted to go out. So listen, I'm happy you got that deal and I love it, but don't think you can run a Facebook ads campaign. Yeah. Don't think you're going to go on Google PPC because I'm telling you, I don't even do that. It's big boy money. It's like 60 to 100K a month. And you have to have an entire team dedicated to it. You're going to get killed. Attack the probates, code violations, driving for dollars. Just wherever there's smoke, there's fire. And you need to find as much smoke as you humanly possibly can. Because you're going to have to find 100 smoke trails to find just a few good deals. And that's the reality. But if you keep your head buried for 2 years doing it, doesn't mean you don't have to have fun. You will make a ton of money. So I've got a couple friends in Utah and they started there. They're doing very well. Yeah. Very well. And they've only been doing it 3 years. And like, I didn't even know the market was that good there. And they're like, they've moved on to like commercial and stuff like that. But it's like, I always do wholesaling. I just add all the other layers to it. So dude, you're in the right place for it, man. People love going to Utah. I've never even been there. I got to get there.
No, it's amazing. Like up in Park City and all that. But so you think I should stay local and not really, probably eventually go virtual, but you think Utah's a good market? I
always do local, even if you're in San Francisco. Why? Because you know the community, you know everybody around there. And when a deal comes, you'll be laser focused and you can make a fast decision on it. Doesn't mean you can't pick a virtual market. You can. The challenge with virtual markets is you don't know that market. You know how to find motivated sellers. And it takes on average about 2 to 3 months to get dialed into a virtual market. And it's a little bit stressful because you can't touch the property. Like you talked about Vince earlier, you know, he does a lot of stuff and it's annoying because he can't get a guy to send him docs. So he has to hire some local boots and trust some people. And he's had frustrations doing that just as I have. And that's the challenge with virtual and that part. So you make less on the virtual marketing, but it's easier. It's kind of a trade-off. So if you do both, so if you plan to have your roots in Utah and you got family and your friends there, always expand there. Yeah. Because I've done multi-million-dollar deals just off people I know. I was able to buy a marina because I knew the guy next door that was able to do it. And honestly, without that relationship, I would never had a shot at it.
Wow.
And before it got the brokers and stuff like that, that's the old wholesaler in me. So, and I do virtual. I do all over the country now. I used to have a select 3 to 5 markets. Now I'm almost in every market. And it's nerve wracking. I don't make as much money, but I do a heck of a lot more volume. And that's how the game of business works. So locally, you'll make more cash, which is going to put more money in your pocket right now. And then virtually is a machine you build to establish, understanding you're probably going to take about 50 to 60% less than what you normally do in your local market. And you have to make up with it with volume. And there's a learning curve, and it's a little bit frustrating. And that's the part that sucks about it. And there's no way around it. Everybody has to get through it. So, and then take that 15 grand and act like you're broke. That's my suggestion to you. Don't do what I did, dude. I went out and spent millions and millions of dollars my first 5 to 7 years wholesaling. And I dug myself in a hole, and I had to reinvent myself. And so once you learn how to make money, your next chapter is to learn how to keep the money.
Yeah.
And that's an art form in its own. And we all have to go through that journey to figure it out. So pretend you're broke and go back to the basics. Government list, expand your market locally. And then once you get that up and running, then you can start hunting for your virtual markets. And I taught you how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just reverse engineer other people's egos. It's really simple.
So you think that I should basically just pocket the money, not do anything with it? Because I was kind of thinking about, because I'm in school, so I have probably 3, maybe 4 hours a day to work on this. And I was just thinking of, getting a VA, just one VA, and cold calling a list for me, paid lists, and then me going out.
But how how much do you understand about cold calling?
I feel pretty comfortable. I feel like I know cold calling.
Yeah, so one of the number one problems that I encounter with people in your not you personally, but I'm just going to give you the numbers. Is they think they can just hire someone to cold call, and they understand the logic of cold calling, but they don't understand how to manage the VA. And by the way, these VAs will stand in line and do it for you all day long. So if you go on last week, me and Zach spent, I think, 15 minutes with a gentleman. I'm like, fire her. You're getting raped. He spent $5,000, never got a deal. And he's just like, I thought this was going to be my cure. I'm like, she doesn't even know what she's only doing what you telling to do, and you don't even really know what you want.
Yeah.
So in the perfect world, I know you're not going to like this answer, is you cold call the first 10,000 people and figure it out and figure out some assimiles, and then you figure out how to manage people to do it. Because unless you cold call yourself, you don't understand, people don't understand what they're asking for. VAs make it sound so perfect. Oh, I'll make 10,000 calls. I'll do this. I'll do that. And most people, 90% of the VAs fail. It's not the VA that's failing. It's just people don't know how to manage them. I've been that person, by the way. So when I brought Zach in to do the cold calling, I think he made 1 million cold calls before we even hired a team to do it.
Wow.
And we just he goes, I know exactly how they're going to burn you. I know how they're going to cheat you. I know exactly what to do. And you got to manage it. And you got to understand, managing people is a time suck, and you got to know how to do it. So another way you can consider, and I prefer you to find some deals off your government list, but look at our ROS mailer. I got to tell you, you could easily do it with one person, and you don't have to hire a cold caller or any of that stuff, and you'll probably get same, if not better results.
Okay.
So just check it out. Go to mailingmastery.com, and I want you to study it. Now, mailing does have a cost. I don't want people to do it, but for a very reasonable number, $1,000, $1,500, you can have motivated the seller leads calling you, and then you can kind of manage your time. And eventually, if you want to bring in someone to help you answer the phones and do stuff like that. But I teach people how to do this once they get up and ramped. I've got 5 or 6 people right now doing 7 to 10 deals a month just off the system I taught them. It's just a learning curve. I don't push it on people brand new. But to be honest with you, I started out with direct mail after 6 months in this business. I'm like, holy crap, I found gold, because I don't have to spend any time doing this, and people call me, and I know how to talk to people. Yeah. That was my high skill set. And so I skipped the cold calling thing. It wasn't the right move to a point, but it worked out. And then I later did cold calling. By far, cold calling is the most effective. But if you got a VA and you don't know their history and you don't know how good they are, any VA in the world will work for you. They will take your money, and they usually take your first $3,000 to $5,000, and then you fire them, and then you figure out how to do it on your own. So I want you to be very aware of it. And then my favorite are these gurus that have their cold call companies. Every one of them is pretty much a failed event. Why? Because they take all the cash and they use your money to fund their marketing campaigns. And then eventually they all go out of business. And they're all run from some foreign country, so they don't have to pay anybody anything. It's terrible. So just be careful before you hire the VA, because everyone thinks that's their saving grace. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't know how to manage them and you've never really done a lot of high volume cold calling, they will tell you everything you want to hear, and they're hard as hell to manage.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And you can, but you know what the problem is? They go, well, I'll do 15,000 calls a month. You know what the budget to run 15,000 pieces of data to get the skip trace? It's expensive.
Mm.
And for that, sometimes you could just pick direct mail and just simplify your life. I'm somewhat biased. My son runs the cold calling department, but we do very well. But honestly, my direct mail like way outperforms cold calling. But keep in mind, we're not just doing government. We do everything mass scale because we have to. But if I was going to do a highly targeted list, man, but you just need cold callers to be productive. Anybody can cold call. Are you going to be productive for me or not? And that's the big challenge. So you can look at mailing mastery, and then you can kind of make a decision, because sometimes you made some money. And so remember, direct mail takes 3 months, but I will tell you, cold calling will take you a minimum of 3 months to even be profitable too. Mm-hmm. So figure out which one's not going to drive you as crazy, because with mailing, you're just managing yourself, and you can mail anywhere you want in the United States. Cold calling, boy, I get people. I won't use anybody out of the Philippines for cold calling because they don't understand American culture, and it drives Americans nuts.
Yeah.
They're like, what's a basement? Like, so in Florida, like they're like, where's the basement? I'm like, you got to stop it. Who's teaching about the basement? That's what somebody taught me. And by the way, experienced cold callers that have worked for other people, not only will they work for you, they'll work for 30 other people. And that is frightening if you think about that. Mm-hmm. So just weigh your options. You get a little bit of control with direct mail, but it's going to cost you a little bit of money. But if you can wait 3 months, you get your return. You will not get a return on mailing in 1 month. And that's why most people fail in direct mail. So weigh your options and then come back on and you can make a decision.
Sounds good.
Okay,
I know it's run pretty long. Do you have time for one more question, or I can
make it quick. Let's go.
Yeah. I was just wondering what you guys use for, like, how often you follow up with your cold, warm, hot leads. How often?
Well, you got to classify them. If someone says, don't call me for a month, if you call them every other day, you're literally going to get bludgeoned to death. So it's a waste of time. So you always classify them. The ones you're most interested in is 30 days or less. And you got to follow up. But like, the problem is when they follow up and they can't keep making a decision, they keep telling you to call back. That's when you just got to press them a little bit, because you don't want to sit in that like friend zone forever. But remember, real estate is timing. So I love to get the people that are ready to go, but why not plant seeds for the future? And you got to the problem is when you're just getting ready to do a contract, so they're ready to go, and then they keep stalling you. You have to press like hell on that one. The person says, give me 3 months. There's no purpose in calling them back a week or two later. You just piss them off. You really do. But sometimes it's just timing. And with all the tools today, if it's way out 6 months or further, I'm going to use like an automated text or an automated email. I'm not even going to bother. But like stuff within 30 days, I'm all over. And here's the key. When you call them, don't call, hey, I'm just calling to see if you're ready to sell. I go, hey, I forgot why I called you, but why I got you on the phone. Where are we at with that house, man? I was just thinking about it just as I called you. Yeah. And sometimes I flat out say, listen, I think I butt dialed you, but why I got you on the phone? What's going on with the house? So you got to stop saying, listen, I'm just calling to follow up with you to see if you're going to sell me the house. People get tired of that stuff. So call them with an excuse. Hey, I had a quick question about the house. Was that a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? Even though you know the answer. Yeah. And then see if they're going to give you any subtle hints that they're ready to sell. Yeah. But honestly, either they buy or they die for me. That's my motto, period. Until you tell me to F off, you're staying on my list. Yeah. But if someone tells you wait 6 months and you're going to call them every day, dude, this isn't like used car sales 101. It's not going to, you cannot force them to sell your house. You just piss them off. So, and then every now and then just sticking like a little sticky note in the mail, it goes like a long way. So listen, just like little thank you letters. So you can buy them in bulk at Walmart for like $1.99. You get like 200. and just stick them in the mail, dude. They go a long way. You'd be surprised how people like, oh man, that was really nice.
Cool. All right.
Okay,
Sounds good.
man.
I
I'll
appreciate
see
it.
you later. You guys like that? Either you buy or you die. A little extreme on that, but it is what it is. So, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button once you see this video. I try to give you the information. What I'm giving to you is free. You can always access all this information over at freewholesaling.com. Come over there. And guys, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. It's how you get special content, special videos that I don't share on any other channel. Guys, I try to bring the house to you. I want to cut through the crap and show you how to do wholesaling. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I'll show you how to do it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, Rick Ginn. Also, if you're younger, you want to check out my son. He has a channel on Zach Ginn. And always go over to Flip with Rick. That's where me and my son collaborate on our wholesaling business. And we bicker about wholesaling, what we like. And we have a lot of fun there. And I know you guys enjoy it. So actually, I'll be on later this week. And actually tomorrow on Flip with Rick. So guys, check us out. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you guys. Go out there and get that deals. And remember, you don't have to have money to have wholesaling, but you got to have drive and you got to have energy and you got to really want it. So go